Welcome, everyone, to our next deep dive into visioning as it stands today. And tonight we're going to be really focusing on that virtual delivery. And I know you have a lot of questions. So just a quick reminder, we would like you to all please remain muted throughout the session. And just like you would ask of your attendees in a virtual delivery, you want to make sure that you can engage with them. So we prefer you keep your camera on if possible. That way we can interact with you. Keep yourself muted, and when it's time to communicate, there's two ways to do that. You can raise your hand. You'll do that in the participants icon, where you'll see a little blue raise your hand. And if you'd like, you can all practice that now. Just go to your participants icon and raise your hand. Perfect. And when you're finished being called on, then you go back to that same participants icon and lower your hand. So we want to use the participants raised hand, not the reaction wave or thumbs up. The reason being, when you're doing a virtual delivery, those reactions don't stay on the screen very long, but the raised hands do. So again, everyone can go back and lower your hand. Thank you for that. So after you're called on, you will lower your hand, unmute, and share your comments. The other way is to use the chat function. So again, we'll practice that. If you would like to go to your chat menu, which you'll see on your Zoom menu bar, or if you don't, you'll see the word more with 3 little dots. And when you click on that, then you'll see chat. So everyone can just pop into the chat real quick and put your district number to just practice. And again, that's another way we'll be communicating this evening, as you'll communicate with your attendees in a virtual delivery. So thank you all for practicing. So everyone, if you've raised your hand, please go back to the participant menu and lower your hand. If you see a little blue hand on your screen, means you need to go in there and lower it. And thank you for participating. Dave, off to you.
Okay, thanks, Jill. Before we go through the session agenda, I'd like to do a quick poll to see who's here tonight. So can we run a poll, Jill? So we want to understand, what is your IVFC training session participation? There's a number of options there. Pick your option and click and submit, and we'll see who's here today.
Okay, give you a few more seconds.
Okay.
And 5, 4, 3, 2,
1. Let's see the results. Wow. That's great to see. It's good to see that most of you have already been to one of our sessions and are back to here learn more. So let's go through our agenda tonight and kind of cover what's going to be shared tonight. So we're going to start out by talking about setup for a virtual session. And that's what you need to set up from your district perspective, what are good club candidates, what you need for your team. And then we're actually do a Zoom meeting setup so you can kind of get that whole sense of a virtual setup session. We're next going to talk about extraction, scribing, and voting and do a little example. We're going to watch a quick synthesis of a club vision session. We're going to do a touch on kind of the vision to success breakout. Now, you've experienced that in your last IVFC training, so we won't go into a lot of depth there. And then we're going to stroll through the IVFC website resources so that you get a sense of the richness of what we have out there for you to use. Then we're going to talk about a coming IVFC attraction in January. And lastly, but not least, we'll talk about what questions you have and address those. Boy, we got a lot to cover in 90 minutes, so we better get started. Let's start with what do you need to do from your perspective to get ready, your district ready? So for your district, you really need your district leadership to be supportive of the club visioning and ensure that you have the tools that you need to really produce those workshops. And this commitment includes a paid Zoom and a paid SurveyMonkey account for your district. Now, your district team is probably familiar with facilitation. You've been trained before. Now we need to think about virtual delivery. So virtual delivery will need a few different skills and a lot of rehearsal. So the types of skills you need, the technical host will need to be proficient in Zoom setup options and meeting, including breakout sessions. We'll need to have Scribe. You need to be proficient in SurveyMonkey and in typing. And then the other facilitators will all need to have skills in kind of getting used to doing that virtual delivery. So all this comes together, and now you have to think about what clubs are good candidates for a facilitation, because not all clubs, will find out, are good candidates for a virtual delivery. I think the first and most important consideration is they have a proven experience in holding a Zoom or virtual meetings. Now, many districts already have clubs doing virtual sessions. If you must be able to really do a good Zoom session to fully participate in a workshop. Attendees attending the workshop really need to have their own computer or device to participate. You know, that device could be a laptop, it could be a computer, it could be a smartphone, a tablet. We highly recommend it be a computer or a laptop so you get the full functionality when you're doing the chatting and voting and muting and unmuting. Clubs need to have a capability to test out. If you have some members that are having some problems with audio quality or that in their meetings, make sure you test that out ahead of time, because everyone wants to be heard or be heard during the session. And when you're doing a virtual workshop, there's 2 sessions. So you're going to want to have all participants committing to participate in both sessions, because the first session really builds on, the second session builds on the first session. And if all your participants aren't there, some are missing or additional ones, it'll be confusing and you may not get the results that you need. So let's look at setting up a virtual session. We have found that Zoom is a really good tool for setting up meetings. And we recommend that you're going to be using a template to set that meeting up. And it makes it a lot easier for future sessions. So when you're setting up a virtual session, you should include a message of something like, "We are excited you are joining us to explore opportunities to strengthen your Rotary Club. This is a 2-part workshop, and participation in both sessions fully is important to ensure your input is included. We look forward to seeing you soon. Please use a computer or laptop if possible for optimal experience. A tablet or smartphone may limit some of your ability to fully participate based on limited screen capacity. Your link will be set upon registration." Now, this message needs to be included so that you're given a good expectation for people participating in a virtual session, and that you'll want to be working with the club coordinator to make sure that message gets out. We recommend that you set up the schedule to be the same time of the day with at least 1 day in between your 2 sessions. By doing that, you can set the meeting up as recurring Zoom meetings so they can use the same link for both sessions to log in. You want to use the require registration and check the attendees register once and can attend any of the occurrences option. For security, we recommend you include a waiting room and a password, and you can use it either a numeric or a word like vision. You want to have your host and participant video setting to on, And for the audio, choose both for telephone and computer. Under the meeting options, we recommend muting participants upon entry and then checking the breakout rooms pre-assigned. At that point, you want to save the settings, and you will have the option to copy the invitation for the registration link. It is critical that the person serving as your technical host be the person with the access to the Zoom account that does the workshop setups. If you have a personal Zoom account, you want to make sure you use a different email for the district account so not to mess up your other accounts, because they will merge. The good news is we have a training video on Zoom setup on the IVF's website, and you'll see that soon. Next, let's talk about the club facilitation team. So, as we said, the roles for the on-site and virtual workshop delivery are basically the same with the addition of a technical host. However, in virtual delivery, there are a few different changes. Let's start with each of the roles and go through what those changes are so I can highlight them for you. First of all, the team lead. The team, if we could go back one more, please, Joe. The team lead is really needs to be coordinating with the club coordinator to make sure that that club is ready for a virtual session. That means really when you're doing the coordination, that means checking in to ensure they're able to use Zoom comfortably. They're confirming with the club members that are participating and soliciting RBQ responses as needed. That check-in with the club coordinator should be best done about a week or so before the workshop. So any changes and a club vision test session, if needed, can be done before the workshop. Second role, the presenter. Presenter needs to be comfortable in leading introductions and presenting the club vision overview, eyes forward and smiling at the camera. We'll talk more about this during the workshop rehearsal comments. Third role, the extractor. The extractor needs to be able to identify members when they're raising their hands virtually to call on them to contribute their virtual ideas. Fortunately, the technical host is also there to help identify raising hands and to help privately chat that to the extractor. Fourth role is the scribe. Now, the scribe has an expanded role in their virtual delivery. The scribe needs to be able to share their SurveyMonkey writing exercise on the Zoom screen, type in the member ideas as they're extracted, set up the voting links for participants. We'll go more deeply into the scribe role and the extractor role in a few minutes. Fifth role is the planner. The planner needs to be able to talk through how to create a master plan and an action plan, and also help manage the breakout sessions. That planner also needs to be encouraging to participants as they share results from their action plan breakout sessions. This was demonstrated in the last IVFC training session. Last, the sixth role, the new one, the technical host. Blaine, could you cover this role and what the requirements are?
Rule number one, make sure the technical host is not on mute. The technical host role is required to operate the virtual technology platform and address any tech problems or questions that participants are having. It's really your on-site IT administrator. First, the technical host hosts the meeting, which involves scheduling the Zoom meeting, setting up screen sharing for the facilitation team, arranging breakout rooms for the participants, admitting participants, and taking online club pictures, and of course, with permission, even recording the workshop. Second, the technical host also helps any participants having problems using the virtual tools. Third, during the extraction, the technical host or an assigned facilitator is another set of eyes for the extractor. and privately chats with the extractor, letting them know who has hands raised and who to call on next. This is a big help for the extractor. Fourth, as all of us know, what can go wrong will go wrong in the technology world. An internet connection can go down when a person is presenting, if the presenter or planner or the scribe even drops, the technical host is ready to jump into the display to display the presentation or the extraction tool, so the workshop can continue forward successfully. As a technical host, I've found it very beneficial to have a setup with at least 2 monitors on a computer connected to a LAN or wired connection versus Wi-Fi only. That allows you to see, the dual monitors allows you to see the Zoom settings and the attendees on one screen and the PowerPoint or shared screen on the other. All facilitators should have a strong, reliable internet connection with audio and video capabilities that aren't distracting. So lose the dogs in the background and make sure that the connection is one where your sound isn't going to be choppy or fading in and out. If the team can also use the same virtual background, that is also a plus. That distinguishes the facilitators from the club participants. It is important also to have at least one technical rehearsal with the team to ensure that everything works correctly. The technical host is required to operate the virtual technology platform and address any tech problems or questions that participants are having. In switching to a virtual facilitation, we need a substitute for the wall charts that will allow individuals to vote remotely on the ideas collected. This is the program or app that the scribe will use to record the ideas extracted. The scribe will share his or her screen so that the virtual participants can see the idea being recorded and confirm that it accurately represents the idea just shared, just like we do with the wall charts. Whether on-site or virtual, the extractor and scribes have critical roles. The extractor must be able to coach participants into reducing the ideas to headlines or bullet points when capturing the participants' ideas from their writing exercise. Keeping good eye contact with the camera is critical to engage with your audience. And position your camera or your laptop in a way that you aren't looking down or to the side makes this much easier. We've found having one of the team members help monitor for raised hands and chats is very beneficial to allow the extractor to totally focus on ensuring everyone is participating. You should stay in gallery view, which now with Zoom holds up to 49 faces, just like the Brady Bunch scene that is becoming so common and familiar. So that you can see everyone and gauge their reactions and engagement. The scribe should be someone with an accurate, fast typing skills and someone also who is familiar with copying and pasting bits of text from the chat comments. You want to capture all of their thoughts, but not necessarily all of their words. Again, we want to restrict this to headlines or bullet points. It is important for the rhythm between the extractor and the scribe to be smooth. The scribe needs to keep up or ask the facilitator to slow down or ask the attendees to clarify or confirm that the thought captured is truly reflective of what their intent was, all while pointing to the typed extraction. The tool used for extraction that we have found best is SurveyMonkey. Again, the district will need a paid SurveyMonkey subscription to be able to utilize the available IVFC template. The scribe should be the one with the access and setup of the SurveyMonkey account. Again, the audio and video connection are critical to ensure limited background noise and a strong signal. During the extraction, the scribe will be in screen share mode in Zoom, so the technical host will have to have the setup to allow screen sharing or make the scribe a co-host so that they can share independently their screen. An optimal environment would be if the Scribe also has dual monitor set up to be able to view the Zoom screen on one screen and SurveyMonkey on the other. Of course, proficiency with SurveyMonkey or additional training might be required for the Scribe role. I've served as a technical host and a Scribe in the same session, and although it can be done, it's not the ideal. It's very hard to multitask to that extent. Jill is going to show us what SurveyMonkey looks like in her share screen. And to demonstrate what this would look like in an actual visioning session, we're going to do a little hands-on facilitation and do a short mock extraction. Jill will be acting as our Scribe, and I will be your extractor. You can see that Jill has pulled up SurveyMonkey, is sharing her screen so that all of the participants are able to see the answers as they're being written down. You will also notice that the new survey template looks a little bit different than the original version. The questions are grouped together now based upon the Rotary International Strategic Plan priorities. Our first priority is to increase our ability to adapt. So when extracting, we will extract the first two questions of the writing exercise in sequence, but you will notice that Jill will scribe all of the responses from our first priority as a single group. When we vote, we will be voting on all of the responses in that group rather than on each question. So let's get started. And for the most part, I'm going to call on IVFC team members, but I see a couple of my DG classmates in the room as well. So I might pick on them just to get even for some of the comments that they've made over the course of our training sessions. For the sake of, let's get started now. So the year is now 2023, 3 years out, and we are looking specifically at what your club has accomplished. So we'll turn to question number 1. Because of the vision we pursued, our club is known for the following. So, Kathy, can you give me one characteristic that your club is known for?
We're known to reflect our community and age and diversity and gender. In all of the ways our community looks like, we're known to reflect our community.
Excellent. So if we were to headline that, we'd be reflecting the diversity of our community, right?
Yes.
Laura, how about, what are the characteristics that your club has come to be known for?
We're the club of movers and shakers.
The club of movers and shakers. And Jill, I see in the chat box, Glenn has suggested community leaders serving our community. We'll give Jill enough time to add those in. Rita, how about your club?
Club is known as, if you want a service project done, go to a Rotarian.
Okay, the Rotarians are known for completing their service projects, getting it done. How about Paul Sincock? It's been a while since I've seen him.
Yeah, hi, Blaine. My club is known for cooking all those chicken dinners in September every year.
The chicken dinner in September.
Yep, 10,000 chickens. It's a bad week to be a chicken.
Preparation for Thanksgiving. How about Mike Becker?
Brady's going to call on me. I would say we are community caring and fun.
Community caring and fun. For the sake of time, we will move on to the next question, which is because we embraced flexibility and club to be more relevant to our membership and our community. Our club now fill in the blank. So specifically, what changes have you made over the last 3 years in your structure or procedures? What new traditions have you created? Laura, can we start with you?
Yes, we do more service projects, a service project a month.
So we've increased service projects to 1 per month. How about Jim Ives?
We raise $20,000 a year for the benefit of our local community.
Okay. $20,000 raised for the community. And Jill, I see that Glenn has added his suggestion in the chat box again. The club is dedicated to our youth. And I will say, just to interject as part of the training, that from a scribe's perspective, that copy and paste function is so great, as long as we can keep those text chats to a bullet point. So I see, Joe, we also have one from Eric. The club has 2,000 likes on Facebook and receives 15 to 20 posts or comments daily. So if we were to headline that, 2,000 likes on Facebook.
So I think we have enough for a sample because we're supposed to be in the flexibility stage.
Perfect.
Thank you.
So we'll conclude our demonstration of that extraction process and now move into voting. And I do see that there's one question in the text box that let's just address that before we talk about voting. Why is the scribing for a second question going on the first page? And that has to do with the grouping of those first 2 questions together under the one strategic priority. So you'll see that we're voting on all of those as one group rather than as individual questions. So when it comes to voting, just like the in-person sessions, there needs to be a way to consolidate duplicates or move answers into another category. That should be done by the attendees since it is their vision that is being created. After that is complete, the setup for voting can occur. And generally, we'd want to transition from the extraction phase into that voting phase by saying something like, of course, it would be difficult for your club to accomplish all of this over the next 3 years. So now each of you get to vote on your favorite ideas that you would like to see your club working on. We'll go through 2 rounds of voting. The first narrows down the choices by eliminating the less popular responses. The second will reveal your top choices. Each category will have a set number of votes. While the extractor is transitioning between extraction and voting, the scribe is working behind the scenes. One of the advantages of using SurveyMonkey is the ease of converting those responses into a poll that will be sent out to the participants. Jill will demonstrate this now on SurveyMonkey, just how easy it really is. So first, you'll go click on the collect responses and it will pop up a web link, which you will then click on copy. The link should be copied then, which will then be placed into the chat box by the scribe to be sent to everyone. You'll see that link just popped up, and we're going to actually put this into play. We're going to ask everyone to click on the link that Jill just sent out and to vote on the survey responses that we just extracted. We'll give you a couple of minutes to complete that. And when you are done, please return your attention to the Zoom call. And we will give you a couple of minutes now. I see a number of comments in the chat box about being able to select more or less than the 4 designated for the question. And you can, in the template, select the number of votes required so that no more or no less than those 4 are selected. You'll find that sometimes during extractions, you make a decision on how many votes to accept in given questions, depending on the number of responses. So that is something that the scribe would set for the voting before the link is sent out.
You'll see here on the SurveyMonkey screen, I've got it set where you can choose exactly 4, no more, no less.
Yep.
That's part of the setup.
Excellent. So I think that should be sufficient time for most, if not all of you to have voted. It really is very simple. If this were a true virtual session, we would recommend taking a break between session 1 and session 2 after that first round of voting. So now would be the time where we segment those 2 portions of the virtual visioning. One of the reasons for doing that simply is because people seem to experience Zoom fatigue after about an hour, hour and a half. And it's helpful to keep them all engaged in the activities to separate those by a couple days. So we have found when doing that, it's helpful to ask them to vote immediately after leaving the first Zoom session, so those votes can be tabulated, and a second link then created that they will receive via email within 24 hours. They will then need to complete the second SurveyMonkey in adequate time for the preparation by the scribe for the second Zoom session, where you will begin with the synthesis. You verify that they don't have any questions, then tell them it's okay to click on the link, leave the Zoom session, and complete the round 1 voting. It is very important to maintain contact with the club coordinator in case you aren't receiving all attendees' results. Since these are anonymous, you won't know who didn't complete. Session 2 depends on both surveys being done. We have found it takes less than 5 minutes for most to complete each round of voting. Now let's take a peek at the results of your vote. You'll see that Jill will click on the Analyze Results. And SurveyMonkey provides a graph of the responses and conveniently allows you to sort the responses from most popular to least popular. Behind the scenes, the scribe will then make a copy of the round 1 voting SurveyMonkey and relabel as round 2 voting. As the round 1 voting results are complete, the round 2 voting SurveyMonkey will need to remove the items that were not chosen or received fewer votes. Each section will have a desired number of votes that will allow consensus to evolve. Those details will be further covered in your resource training materials for technology setup. After round 2 voting, a consensus has emerged and a synthesis will be shared. We have found that the scribe is best suited to do this since he or she was most closely involved with the extraction and voting process. It is important that this be done with energy and with enthusiasm. You are transporting them into the future 3 years where they have accomplished their vision. For time savings tonight, we will now demonstrate an actual synthesis done in a virtual delivery by Jill.
Because what I want you to do now is just listen very, very carefully to the consensus that you've made so far on what you want your club to achieve over the next 3 years. And while I'm sharing this, we will be referencing the results of your second round of voting. In the year 2023, the Rotary Club of Greenwood White River has increased your ability to adapt by being an intergenerational mix of young and seasoned members benefiting your community. Now 50 members strong, you've expanded your reach by making your Rotary Impact Day a true community event where it is the place to be and be seen. You've enhanced your member engagement by the robust onboarding process of your newer members, where they and their families are immediately involved in an active committee and quarterly social events. And you've increased your impact by expanding Rotary Impact Day into the signature project for your service that your club is known for as a full community event. And you always participate in district grants to help your projects have sustainable impact. Rotary Impact Day now raises $25,000 each year, and that helps you support your highly sought after scholarship program and other nonprofit organizations. And by being part of Rotary International, 100% of your members choose to support the Rotary Foundation with an amount that they're comfortable with, and many of them choose $100 or higher. The Greenwood White River Rotary Club achieved all of this by having a vision of what you could become, and you made it happen. Would you like to join us? That is what you have achieved.
As you've probably figured out, there's a bit of work for the scribe role. That's why proficiency in SurveyMonkey or willingness for additional training is imperative. We do have some video tutorials available to help from IVFC that will be on the website resources. Session 1 is primarily focused on the extraction of their ideas. Session 2 is primarily focused on them practicing the skills they will need to help bring that vision to success. And now we'll turn it over to Jill to share the action plan process with you.
So in learning theory, practicing what one's learned serves to ingrain the learning in the brain. So time is spent having the participants actually develop an action plan. This helps them practice the skills that they'll need to achieve their vision. In an on-site session, they're actually broken into small groups. In a virtual session, they're sent to breakout rooms. In each method, they're given 15 minutes to practice creating an action plan for one of the goals that the facilitator has chosen out of their list of extracted ideas. When they're brought back together, they actually have a chance to experience with each other as an entire group, and they feel empowered with a clear expectation of what they'll need to accomplish. The Vision to Success volunteers are then much more eager to step up with having not only a practice session, but the witnessing of the enthusiastic participation of their fellow club members in that process. This is exactly what you practiced at our last training session. So today we're just going to quickly review what happens after those breakouts and after they've shared briefly what their experience was in practicing and developing those action plans. After figuring out which ideas to put on the master plan, after the entire club has been shown the visioning results, we suggest that for each idea, an action plan be created for year 1. A group or an individual, depending on how the club wants to proceed, will take those ideas and they will create an achievable goal for each
Then they'll define the tasks that must be accomplished in order to achieve that goal. Additionally, they'll determine who will lead that goal, who will help, what resources they might need, when they'll start, when they think they might conclude, and any comments that need to be made about that task. They'll define as many tasks as they're needed to accomplish that goal. This answers that fourth planning question, which is how will we get there? And once all of the tasks are generated, then they predict the outcome. Predicting the outcome allows them to answer that fifth planning question, which is how will we know when we've arrived? This reviews the next steps. Again, it asks for volunteers to commit to helping the club president achieve the ideas that were generated in the visioning. So you say something like, let's see who's going to help with the next steps, which we call vision to success. If you're in a virtual world, you would use an interactive document with a Zoom shared screen to capture the information about those volunteers and then perform the next steps, again called Vision to Success. We've updated this document with a new title. Again, we demonstrated this live at the last training session. So with a show of hands or a thumbs up, let us know if you were able to see that demonstrated last time and if you felt comfortable with that part of the training where we actually did this interactively on screen. Okay, I'm seeing a few thumbs up. Maybe a few of you were not able to attend that last session. But it goes pretty smoothly, and they're very excited to raise their hands and volunteer with this new process. Dave, let's share a little bit about how important it is to make sure this all runs smoothly.
So you can see there is something to doing virtual delivery. One of our learnings is a must is to do a technical rehearsal. A full technical rehearsal gives an opportunity for your facilitation team to not only check out the technology, make sure everything works and you know where stuff is, but also an opportunity to practice virtual delivery. And you also have an opportunity as you're going through that to make sure that your team roles know what's going on and there's a script. Everybody has a script, so they're able to kind of go through and follow along. Because you know, you may need to do a backup where someone drops off and someone needs to pick up. As you can see, there are always challenges with technology. It's sometimes nice to have a uniform look as your virtual facilitation team. As you can see on the picture on the right, the gentleman has a rotary background. That's a good way of showing different, kind of a common team. But oftentimes people may have computers that don't support that, like for me, for instance. We also want to make sure that you're keeping good eye contact. Remember, the audience is really that green dot that you see on your computer. And that as you're doing that, make sure you're smiling. That smile really shows the enthusiasm and an energy you have and really makes a difference because you're there to really help a club move to the next level. And your energy and enthusiasm can do that. Now, it's important when you're doing the rehearsal that you're very honest with each other on feedback. Giving honest feedback helps people improve in terms of what skills and what's working and what's not working. You want to do that during the debrief process also. So as we move on from the rehearsal, we want to make sure that, you know, you've had a lot of questions probably as we're going through this. So let's take a few minutes before we do questions and Jill, let's do a walkthrough of the website.
You know, at the last session, we briefly touched on the website, but we want you to know that a lot of what we're doing and training you on and seeing will be available to the district visioning chairs on our IVFC website. So the website is rivisionfacilitation.org. And if I could have one of my teammates put that in the chat, that would be great. If you have not registered as a district visioning chair, you would click on Join IVFC. And when you click on that, it'll pop up another window. You just fill out your name, your district, and your position and hit submit. And we will get back to you as soon as possible with your login information. Once you've received that, you just log in. And you'll notice what happens after you log in is there is a secondary menu that drops down from the public site. This is where you will find the resources that we're building. Now, this is an evolving opportunity on the web, so we appreciate your feedback. What we're going to mostly focus on tonight is the resources to prepare for a club visioning event, the event delivery itself, the post-event, and then a quick look at the training library that we're building. So when you prepare, there are certain documents, whether you're on-site or virtual, that will need to be sent out to your club leadership. So the club president will get the club profile. You'll send out a Rotary Visioning questionnaire, which is now a SurveyMonkey template that's available, the writing exercise. And when we send out the writing exercise, we now send 3 additional documents, the RI vision statement, the club model example, and a foundation resource document. That way, if they're a newer Rotarian and they're not sure of some of the information in the writing exercise, they'll have something to reference. You'll also notice in the virtual event, we have a handy dandy little tool for Zoom meeting instructions to again help your members and your attendees fully participate in a virtual environment. When we actually get to the event itself, again, you'll need the writing exercise because you want the attendees to show up with their completed writing exercise. That's available again if needed. There is a PowerPoint, just like there always has been, that can be used either on-site or virtual. And then we have the additional resources for the Vision to Success, the Vision to Success template, the master plan, and the action plan. And the action plan is actually used in the virtual world by putting that in the chat for them to use in the breakout. Under this area, you'll see we have a full 2-part session that we have snipped into videos. So I encourage you to go back after you've attended some of these sessions. And if you're not quite sure, how does that breakout thing work? There's an example of a live session where we sent them to breakout. If you want to know, how do you extract a SurveyMonkey again? You can just see us doing it. After the club visioning event, again, there's follow-up. So we need to give them the template to compile the results, just like we've always given them the spreadsheet for them to get the wall charts. Again, the Vision to Success guide and the master plan and action plan templates are also listed. What we're building under the training resources is a better repository. So for now, we have, if you were unable to attend the first 2 sessions prior to this one, we have the full recording and the PowerPoints for each of those 2 sessions. And this session will be uploaded onto the website as soon as possible. So give us a couple of days to get that rendered and uploaded. We also have begun some of the technical resources beyond IVFC, and this is a further example on how to set up a Zoom meeting, which we briefly demonstrated today. So again, I know there's a lot more that you want to see, and there's a lot more to come. If there's something that you're looking for and you're not sure, you can't find it, you can hit contact us and just type in your question, and we will make sure that we get the appropriate resources back to you. And again, right now, this website and all of these resources are designed to be accessed by the district visioning chair. So it's really important to work within your district, to work with your chair to get those resources together. There will be future additions to more access. So again, we're just kind of rolling this out, but we wanted to let you know we're getting things on here as soon as we're getting them to you. Are there any quick questions?
Jill, there were a couple comments in the chat about registering and not getting any access information back. I wonder if it's because they weren't the district chair.
That's very possible.
Because now that you said what you just said, that would kind of speak to some of the questions that were brought up.
Yes. And also there is a subscription process to, to be part of IVFC Vision Facilitators. Those of you attending tonight, we sent out the invitations to those districts who have previously subscribed, so you should have access to this. But that is a high probability. You should have at least received a response. We had a little bit of a technical delay and we apologize. If you have not heard from us and you filled out that Join IVFC, if you wouldn't mind, just put your name and email in the chat, and we will make sure we follow up to see if we don't have you listed correctly as your district visioning chair, for instance.
Joe Hagedorn has his hand up.
Yes, Joe.
Sorry. Yeah, I'm one that last meeting I registered and I never received anything.
Okay.
And I know we're registered and I know we're paid up for our district. If we're not, then I need to look into it. But if you'll just let me know if there's a problem on my end or your end, I'd appreciate it.
Thank you. Glenn, would you get that? Thank you. And David asked if all district team members should have access to the website for the training videos. That is where we're going. We're not there yet. So please be patient with us, David, because the training repository is in its infancy. So the reason that you all have been invited to this training is we wanted to get the new materials in the hands of districts that were experienced in delivering club visioning as soon as possible. So you could see how what you know has been expanded a little bit. So that's why we focus right now on the district visioning chairs. As we get additional training tutorials and YouTube videos up there above and beyond the snippets that are there, this will be rolled out to a broader base. And then just a little peek under the hood, we're actually going to be integrating with a full CRM system, and we're trying to get the data fields that we need connected to that. And one of the questions will be when a district subscribes or renews, who they want to have access to the website. But please bear with us because we're not totally there yet, but we hear you and we appreciate that that's very important to you. All right, so Rick, again, just to clarify, for the drop-down menus that we just saw, yes, currently the district vision chair has access to that.
Jill, Sam Scroggins has his hand up.
Thank you. Sam?
We've looked a little bit at SurveyMonkey in our district, and the price seems to be fairly high. Is there some arrangement that the zone has made to perhaps bring that down? It looks like it's about $75 a month or more. Does that sound right to you?
Yeah, Blaine, you want to take that question because I know that's one of the things that you've worked with in your district, some different options in addition or instead of.
Sure. Thanks, Jill. Sam, that price is about what we're seeing as well. There hasn't been any negotiations that I'm aware of with SurveyMonkey. We do, as a district, though, use SurveyMonkey for a variety of other things in addition to virtual visioning. So we definitely get our money out of it for PETS training, for district conference questionnaires and polling and those types of things as well. So we make sure to utilize it in other fashions. It does allow for a number of different user logins at that price. So the club visioning chair could, or the district visioning chair or zone visioning chair could be one of those. And certainly pass it off to other positions within the district as well. Zoom does have a discount for Rotary, and I think is it Rotary 20 or something like that. Zoom Rotary is the code for a 20% discount on Zoom.
And you can use SurveyMonkey without the templates in a free version, but it is a little labor intensive because you would have to recreate that each time you have a club visioning versus using the template. And if the district has invested in that paid subscription, then all you've got to do is reach out to IVFC and we will send you the template. But we can only send templates from a paid subscription to a paid subscription.
Thank you.
All right, we've got a little bit of sharing in chat, and it looks like some of the districts are looking at investing in some of the technologies. And again, kind of back to the earlier part of our session, a virtual delivery is not for everyone. It might not be for every district. It might not be for every club. So those are part of the decision points that you need to make as district leaders on the club visioning team to advise your district as to what you think is best for your members. And it may be a budgetary discussion with your incoming leaders to make sure that if there are purchases that are needed, that that's incorporated into the district budget. Any other questions? I'm not seeing any hands or chats. So Rick had a question about using 2 screens requires a little bit of practice. All of this, guys, requires a little bit of practice. So I was a good example of tonight where it's not ideal to be running the PowerPoint and the technical host and also being the scribe and also doing the SurveyMonkey. So you saw we had a few glitches tonight. My mic cut out after I shared a video. So stuff happens. But that technical rehearsal, Dave, I'm going to ask you to reinforce that one more time, if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah, that technical rehearsal is absolutely a must because, you really need to have an opportunity to really make sure any technical issues are gone, but also that people can practice. And that's really important. In my district, we've done 8 sessions, but we still do a practice every time before we do one because the team is a little different, technology is a little different. You grow and get a chance to improve along the way with those technical rehearsals. So a technical rehearsal is a must.
And we rehearsed, and I logged in 30 minutes early to check all the sound and still had trouble. So, Murphy's Law. So one of the questions that we haven't heard, but I'm just going to throw it out there. We're talking about doing this virtual stuff. There's several of us that have been out there doing it. Dave, does it work?
It does. Would you mind showing the survey results?
I would be happy to do that.
So in District 5960, we've had an opportunity to do 8 virtual sessions. And so we send out a survey afterwards, and here's kind of a summary of that survey. We've covered 112 club members in those 8 sessions. The first question on there was this session virtually beneficial to setting your club direction? And we got 93% saying they strongly agree or agree. And also, kind of interesting, toward the end of the survey, we asked, well, would you prefer on-site or virtual? And surprisingly, a little over half said virtual. So I was kind of digging into that more, I was looking through the comments, and some of the comments I found really interesting. The third comment around reinforces some of the things we've been talking about doing on sending the survey out ahead of time. Preparing answers ahead of time saves time, encourages participation. The voting, much easier. We'll never go back to dots. Also, one of the things we did here consistently was there were a number of people who said, I really like that personal touch. I miss that interaction piece. I think that's one of the advantages on site. It's a little harder to do with virtual. But also, on the other hand, you also have some advantages, particularly districts that are large, don't have that extra travel time. And I do think sometimes people feel more comfortable sharing virtually. So I think overall, we were very heartened by the responses we got, and that we're going to continue forward.
Thank you, Dave. Mark, did you have a question?
I did. So I'm thinking about next steps as a district chair and coming in new. I'm thinking that it's finalize the agreement and membership with the links you give us. Get familiar with the website, surf it, learn it, practice it, go into each of the learning modules, and try to then maybe expand to my group and maybe do some sample playing around, getting familiar with the tools. But that's just my view after a few minutes. What else do you recommend as a next step path forward, and maybe some people to contact?
So you're right, spot on with review the material. One of the things you would probably want to do is start with your delivery team, kind of go through a mock session and get your hands dirty a little bit with practicing with it. You can lean on us if you're getting stuck on a few points. We'll be happy to reach out and do what we can to guide you. And if we can do some Zoom training with you to help you out as well. One of the questions that came up in the chat as well, and again, I know technology can be intimidating, but don't be afraid. Just get out there and try it. But the question, particularly in chat, was tips to make sure that everyone feels they have a chance to contribute. Blaine, I know there's a couple of points, especially in the virtual delivery, that we ask everybody to contribute. Can you walk them through how easy that is?
Certainly. You know, the nice thing about having the gallery view, at least, is that we get to see all of the faces, but you'll notice that people kind of shift around from square to square on occasion as they either log on or log off, or someone speaks and everything changes. So as an extractor, it becomes very difficult to make sure that you're calling on everyone. So what we found is if you click on the participants menu, that generally sorts them either by alphabetical order or the manner in which they came in. That doesn't change. So that has generally been the easiest way to make sure that we've gone through everyone. For instance, when we call out the membership number, we used to go right down the table and make sure that we called on everyone. They'd shout out their number. We do the same thing on the participants list. So we would just go straight down that list and make sure that everyone was included. Great question.
And I want to add on to that. One of the important things is the technical host or someone on the facilitation team can also be kind of keeping in mind who hasn't contributed, and privately chat to the extractor that, hey, I haven't heard from Joan for a while.
Yep. You need to do a lot of tag teaming, so that's a really good point. We're getting a lot of questions in chat about access to the website. And we really appreciate your desire to have more people accessing these materials. So we're listening, and we'll take that to heart and continue to push forward as quickly as we can through the team to make sure we get what you need. For now, the district visioning chair can absolutely download those materials. Those are interactive PDFs, the PowerPoints, just like you always did. You went to the IVFC website and you downloaded the materials and you gave them to your team. So that's really no different. What's different is we're talking about delivering in a box, and that's a little uncomfortable and a little uneasy. So we wanted to reach out again to this special group of subscribed districts to let you see what is now available for you to explore and choose if you think that this is something that would be a good fit for your district and your clubs. What we need to hear back from you is, what do you need more training on? Now, we did this poll last time, but I'd like to actually introduce the poll again for you to give us a little bit of feedback. as to what are the areas that you feel are the priorities. Where do you need training so we can help deliver the products that you're looking for? So if you wouldn't mind, take a few moments and answer these. You can answer as many as you need. And thank you for that. So it looks like most of the areas, there's still an interest in doing a deeper dive. About a third of you really wanted to see it all a little bit more. So thank you for that. We understand that these deep dive intros are just kind of scratching the surface and you're looking for more. Each of your districts has a visioning chair and you have a zone coordinator who will be reaching out to you because we have a list of who's attended this session. So continue that dialogue with your zone coordinator to see what type of training you feel your district needs, because right now we're somewhat limited with what we can do on site, just like everyone else. So it may be an opportunity that we can work with your district individually to help you build the skills if you want to embrace the virtual forum and you just want a little bit more. Some of you may be very active still in club visioning and you're ready to jump on board and use these new tools, and that's all right too. So we just need to continue that dialogue and hear from you. Looking, there's a few things in the chat. Again, the previous recorded sessions are on the website. Mark?
Okay, so just as a clarification, someone will be reaching back out to us saying, what'd you think of the session? Where are you going? What help? And that'll be our contact for us for working with our team, or a start anyway.
Correct. Your zone coordinator, of which, if you're a zone coordinator, can you give us a thumbs up so people can see who are all on the call right now? Because we have several. So we have Glenn Vanderford from Heart of America. There's Glenn. We've got Sam Scroggins. We've got Nick. We've got Pat Cross. And again, we will be working with each one of your zone coordinators for them to have a list of who attended this. And can I put you on the spot, coordinators? Can you all commit to reaching out to your districts that have attended this session to have a one-on-one conversation? Can y'all do that? Great. I'm getting a lot of head nods and some thumbs up. We want to make sure that you embrace these materials and you feel confident. Sorry, Dave, I didn't mean to leave you out there. Thanks.
Great, thank you.
We did have a request that we put this screenshot back up for the results. So I believe that was the request. So again, this does work, guys. It takes a little investment in time, a little investment in the district, financially possibly, but this is a great option, not the only option, but it's a great option. And I foresee this being at least an optional solution for some of your clubs and districts, even after we can go back to face-to-face. I really want to thank you for being committed to helping your clubs learn a process that can help them be more dynamic and engaging. Remember, the club doesn't know this process. So even if you miss a part or you mess up, it's not the end of the world. They're not going to have the script. They don't even probably know it happens. Just practice your part over before you go into the visioning event, and you'll do just fine. If it's going to be a virtual visioning, you have to do that tech rehearsal. And you may need a couple just to build the skills of your team. We wish each of you good luck in your facilitation journey. Thank you to your districts as chairs and to your district leadership team and your governors for bringing club visioning to your district. And with that, unless there are final questions, we'll bid you adieu. Thank you so much for coming tonight.